Hi guys, good afternoon. I'm going to do a bit of a multi-video today. I'm not only just going to put my makeup on, but I'm going to give you a catch-up of what happened yesterday. I'm just putting some cream on my face first. I'm going to do a bit more of a lighter makeup on today. Yesterday I lost my keys and I still can't find them. I'm sure most people think, oh, you're blind, you're going to lose your keys all the time. Well, I haven't been too bad. I generally put them in a special pot that my dear friend made for us, and I always put them in there. Apart from a few days ago, came back from the shop and I don't know where I put them. I mean, I didn't leave them in the shop because obviously I need them to get into the house. So they have got to be here somewhere, but I don't know where. I spent hours looking and then I just had to stop because it was just caused me so much stress, and the bending and stretching and moving things and looking was just, oh, everything was hurting. And so I gave up for a little bit and I've got to get back to it again because I can't leave the house otherwise, and I've got things to do today. So that is rather frustrating. I mean, I've looked everywhere. So I'm just putting this base cream on. It's quite light. Just again, it's to feel, you know, where your face is, and you just rub around everywhere. I have done this quite a while, which is why I'm not sticking my fingers in my eyes, which has happened, which is generally why I try not to use brushes and things, because I've poked myself in the eye with them before. No, that's not how I lost my eye, for anyone thinking. As you can see, I only have one eye. I was born premature and I weighed £1.9 and the eyes didn't develop properly. So when I was 15, my retina decided to come detached and I was rushed into hospital and they put it back on. Now that was my good eye, so when I woke up in the hospital, obviously the one they'd operated on was covered same way. Then bad eye was like, oh my god, I've got to step up and do something. So that was really weird for a while. I remember being in the hospital and I was feeling around for a glass of water, well, plastic one, and I knocked it over and the nurse came in, she was like so angry. I was like, I've just had an eye operation. You know, it's not my fault, it's a plastic glass. You know, I know you're gonna have to get a mop, but you know, can you please help me have some water? So they checked the eye and they said, right, come back 3 weeks time, you know, we need to do a check. Went up to London, which is Moorfields Eye Hospital, which is one of the main ones in the country, and they said, oh, your retina's come off. And we were like, what? I said, yeah, we're gonna have to bring you back in for an operation. So that was a start of about 9 months of continuous operations trying to put this retina back on. And when it didn't really work, they tried various things. They'd put a gas bubble behind it and that didn't work. We'd go and see the registrar and he'd be like, oh yeah, it's okay. And then our lovely Dr. Charteris, our consultant, was like, oh no, it's come off, you're gonna have to come back in. So I started not trusting registrars. I didn't believe what they'd said. And then they put this gas bubble in for a while, that didn't work. And then they put some coral behind it. And that sorted it out for a while until they started, I got pain in my eye. I was like, why have I got pain in there? They said, oh, there's a calcium crystal buildup behind your eye. This is what's hurting. It's the calcium crystals cracking. I mean, and I was in, my poor mum drove me to so many A&E departments First it was London, and then we moved to Wales, so it was Swansea, and travelling back from London to Swansea was not easy. We didn't live in Swansea, we lived a little way out, so it was a drive and then a train. So then we moved to Swansea Hospital and had a lovely consultant there. He was brilliant, but again, it kept happening. We didn't know why. Rushed off to hospital. Hours and hours in A&E, of course. So they removed it, and they kept doing this, and this went on for years. And I started saying, just take the eye out. It's not working. I can't see out of it. Please just remove my eye. So they didn't remove it until 2010. And then they said, oh, you can have a glass eye and all this. So I have had various glass eyes that they're not actually glass. Not anymore, they used to be. And it was counteractive because people thought I could then see out of both eyes, and I couldn't. So I was having trouble. I was still having trouble. I had a couple of guide dogs, and I was still really struggling. And then I went to a gig with my mum, and we were trying to get through, I had my cane and stuff, and I just thought, oh, sod this. So I just took my eye out, and then people moved, so I was like, well, that has actually been quite helpful. And also, if my eye was itchy, I'd go like that, and then it would fall out. I kept dropping it, and I was like, this actually isn't actually helping. And the last time I had my eye in was about 3 years ago. I kept going back, having different ones. I did want a really cool one. I wanted like one with a pentagram on. I wanted a light up one. They're like £150. But I just quite like the idea of freaking people out. I mean, it freaked people out anyway when you take your eye out. But yeah, I did keep losing it. Last time I lost it was in a pub, and I was like, well, I'm not going to find that. And so I haven't had it in, but it also kept coming out as well, and I was like, what's happening? And there's a cyst in my eye, in my socket. So I'd been under Hereford for a while, because I had some issues when I was pregnant with my third boy, and I ended up getting glaucoma, which is when pressure builds up in the eye. So it was causing me so much pain. It was putting pressure on the optic nerve. Now the optic nerve is that main one that helps you see. So it put pressure on it. So I was throwing up. I was pregnant, and I wasn't just throwing up because of that. Then I was getting pressure, and then I was starting to lose the sight. So I started to really freak out. So they took me in. They gave me laser, and that didn't work. But that was a horrible experience. And then they said, we're going to have to take you in for an op. I was like, but I'm pregnant. And they said, what, you're going to have to be awake. I was like, oh, what? Like, I've got this, I'm freaked out. When I go into operations, I go into the theatre, they have to give me a pre-med because I'm so freaked out. I hate needles. So obviously, how they put you to sleep, they generally stick a needle in you. Now, I've got really thin veins. I mean, you probably can't really see on here, but really, really thin veins. Due to being premature, always had trouble. They can't get blood. It takes them ages. And sometimes the nurses get really angry at you. It's like, well, it's not my fault, I can't give you blood. And they start stabbing around you even more, so it gets more painful. And I've always been freaked out from a child, because they've obviously always had to take blood at some point, and they found it hard. And the more they kept doing it, the more painful it was. And now I realise with the fibromyalgia, that's why. The more that you stab at something, especially with fibromyalgia, it gets more and more painful. Or they would get the needle in, and then they were like, oh no, it stopped. So what do you mean it stopped? They're like, oh no, it's like gone the other way. And I went, what? So that was annoying. And where am I? Oh, yeah. And they ended up taking me in for an op. I was shaking so much they had to give me a tiny bit of Valium to calm me down, and then they put lots and lots of drops in the socket. No, wrong eye. In my good eye, sorry. I'm so used to my socket being worked on, I forget which eye I'm talking about sometimes. They loads and loads of drops in, so you can't see anything, which isn't a bad thing, but it's still freaky because you can still hear what's going on. And they're like, we're going to start now, Laura. And I'm like, please don't tell me, just get on with it. You know, it's like, when they give you a cesarean, they're like, oh, we're going to start the first cut. And you're like, just don't tell me. So they did that, and that was weird. I mean, you could see shadows moving above you and hear them talking, but I just zoned out. I just tried to take myself somewhere completely different because I just didn't want to freak out, and I thought, I've got to keep calm, I've got to keep calm for baby. So I did manage to take myself somewhere. It wasn't a very long operation, and it worked. They drained whatever they had to drain out, and that eye has actually been relatively okay. No more ops on it since 2015, which has been amazing, but I have had more ops on the socket. The big old eye that when they took it out they said I wouldn't have any more problems with it, so it's not a massive cyst, but it's enough for one, if I did want a fake eye, it won't fit, and the other, that it actually is really painful. It doesn't hurt all the time, just it can get dry, it can get painful, so I have drops for it. Because for some reason when that eye starts hurting, the other one starts, oh yeah, well I'm going to join in. So I have had 2 cysts removed. No, I haven't. I've had 1 cyst removed, but I've got another cyst growing. And the first time they removed the cyst, it was horrible because generally when you have operations, you have drains in. So they put little tubes in and all the icky stuff drains out. And they sort of had to do that with my eye. So they sewed my eyelids together, put this tube thing in it, and they were like, oh, you've got to clean around it. Luckily at the time, I was, my mother-in-law helped me with that. She was amazing. And it was weird, it was so weird. And then they were like, okay, right, you've got to come back. Like, we'll undo them. And that was okay, but it just is back again, and it goes up and down. They give me stronger drops, but again, it's getting big again, and I'm like, oh God, I've got to go for another op. Now, I have got an appointment in August in Hereford. I'm in Coventry, so it's not very far. I can do it on the train. I can do it in a day, but I'm gonna have to say to them, can we remove it again? I mean, the thing is, they like to wait until it gets a certain size, but as it starts to get bigger, it gets more painful, and it does lift up my eyelid as well, which is weird because it means that the eye starts to open more, which means the socket is exposed more. Yeah, that's right, exposed more, sorry, which can freak people out. I have poor little children, they look at me like, oh my God. I have had some children in Hereford when I was taking the boys to school. Are you a vampire? I was so tempted to say yes, but I thought, no, I won't, because I don't want to scare their child. But yeah, so yeah, just a bit of a ramble, really. I've got to go out in a bit. I've got to try and find my keys. I'll let you know if I find my keys. Yeah, I've got to go out. It's another hot day, which is nice, as it's June, after my birthday, and it's good weather, which is great. So I hope everyone's having a good day and isn't too hot, and I'll see you again soon.